Okay, well, thank you for coming tonight. As I said, I'm a member from WCA. I normally organize SO3 trips. Typically, it's always rivers for WCA. And unfortunately, last year we need to reduce all our trips because of the COVID. This year, everything we keep the same until we understand it's safe for all, and the government and we have green light from the government as well. And then we decide, because we have a lot of members who, well, there's a membership, and we try to value the value of the membership. We start creating some workshops, and so far it's really good because we are meeting a lot of new people, and as well trying create more new skills to new members. In the last months, we create workshops for navigation. People gain more skills in GPS and maps. And the last workshop we talk about rivers was the Bonaventure in Quebec. Was really good because it's a very interesting river in Quebec. For me, it's my favorite. And today we're going to talk about the Spanish River a little bit as well. My main purpose, I'm not going to talk a lot of the rapids, each rapid. I think there's a lot of information online talking about the rapids. It's more how to get in and how to get out of the rapids and all the logistic behind to organize a trip to Spanish River. Let me get it. Can you other people, it's on the waiting room?
I'm just looking. That's fine. I'll do that.
Okay, let
Yuri.
me just move the bar. Oh, okay, it's your okay. The first thing when I start organizing my trip to the Spanish, my inspiration was a train. Yeah, I was looking to try the train and the boats inside, and was not really the Spanish River or the landscape. Was for some reason was more the train. I want to try the train. And when we get there, no, the river is really nice. And even if you Google Spanish River, always show the picture on the train. I'll move to another page. Just give a moment. Okay, then I try to organize where I can find maps and more information. I went right away to MyCCR. I don't know if you guys know, MyCCR belongs to Wilderness Canoe Association. We support MyCCR, and we own MyCCR as well. We feel so far it's one of the best resources in Canada, and it's really good resource for paddling community. We have a magazine we call Nostalgia. I don't know if you guys can see my screen. There is a magazine normally we issue 4 times a year. And there's a lot of Spanish rivers on older editions you always can check as well. And then, well, Spanish River, it's more or less 5 or 6 hours from downtown Toronto, more or less. And from Sudbury, it's more or less 1 hour to Cartier train station. It's like the focus point for in general, all the Spanish River canoe trips. If you see below, we have 2 maps. The map below, it shows Sudbury, and we have 3 main stations to start to catch the train. It's the Sudbury station, and then we have the Cartier train station as well. There's some difference between catching Sudbury and catching Cartier. Sudbury it's a little bit more busy, and Cartier it's more relaxed. You can get there anytime, and you can park, and it's pretty easy to manage. The main geography from the Spanish River we call the forks. We have the west branch and we have the east branch. A lot of people start on the west branch because it's a longer trip than and there's more white water on the west branch than the east branch. Well, east branch almost there's nothing. It's 0 white water. And then we have another section we call forks to elbow. And then we have the last section we call the elbow to Agnew Lake. Well, on this map, you guys can see the forks. It's very famous. You guys can check on the maps. You see, guys, even if you guys want checking online, always the word forks. It's very famous on the Spanish rivers, and so when the east and the west branch they are together, they meet together. from the Forks to the Biscoe Tasting, it's more or less 60 kilometers. It takes more or less 3 days, I believe, in general. If you want to do the Duke Lake to the Forks, it's more or less 43 kilometers, and you can take more. You can do like 2 or 3 days. The problem that from the Forks to the Duke Lake is a lot of flat water. That's one of the concerns when people is doing the Spanish River. There's a lot of flat water sections and takes more time. If you did Noir, Coulanges, or Des Moines, you can do right away the Spanish. It's really easy. Most of the rapids is class 2, class 3, but the problem is the flat section. It takes more time to reach. Normally, for rivers, we normally do like 25 kilometers a day for rivers, and for flat water, 15 kilometers a day as a reference. And the problem with the Spanish is really some large flat water sections. It takes more time to to make more distance. Plus, we have royal exports as well. Then we have the just give me a moment. Then we have the lower section from the Fox to Agnew Lake. From the Fox to Agnew Lake, it's possible. We did in 3 days. Was okay in 3 days. You can maybe make more, but for us, it was very comfortable doing 3 days. The only problem there is one day is very flat water. When you are with Prospector 17, it takes a lot of time to get to the next campsite. From the Elbow to Agnew Lodge or Agnew Lake, it's more or less 50 kilometers. It takes about 2 days. There's just a few rapids at the beginning, and then almost it's pretty straightforward. They call the graveyard, the famous graveyard rapids. Outfitters. There's main two outfitters. If you guys want to if you guys want to leave the river from the Forks, there's a great outfitter, the Fox Lake Lodge. It's really right beside the fork. There's a small lake. Let me see if I can. Oops. I can show you after. The Fox Lake Lodge, they can pick it up from the Forks, and they take you right away to the Cartier train station. For example, if you leave on a Friday night, let's imagine if you leave on a Friday night, there's a provincial park really right beside the Forks. It's the Windy Lake Provincial
Sandro,
Park.
I don't
Yes.
think it's the Forks. I think it's the Elbow you're pointing to.
Sorry, it's the Elbow.
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you. Okay. For example, if you leave Toronto Friday night and you are preparing to catch the train on Saturday night, you can sleep on the Windy Lake Motel, or there's a Windy Lake Provincial Park as well. You can camping. And on the next day in the morning, you can take the train, you can take the car, you drive the cars right away to Cartier train station and you leave your car parked there. When you start doing the river on any section up north, when you catch the river, at the end you can leave on the Elbow, and then the outfit is waiting for you. And you take right away again to Cartier train station when your car is parked. If you want the second option, if you want to paddle really at the south, at Agnes Lake, there's the Agnes Lake Lodge. They are outfitters as well. And these guys normally, you can leave like, for example, Toronto or South Ontario on Friday night, and you're going to sleep at Agnew Lake Lodge. And the next day, they shuttle you or they take your cars to Sudbury train station. And then you take the train and then you paddle all the way straight down to Agnew Lake Lodge. Well, trains. There's 3 trains up north every week, and then the 2 trains south every week as well. Most of the people catch the train, leaves Sudbury at 9. He reaches Cartier train station 9:50. But we just figure out there's always delays on the trains. Via Rail Canada, always delayed trains. And I think you guys need to make sure 1 week before you guys need to call to Sudbury train station and require a bud car, because normally the bud car they don't install the bud car on the line if it is not required. The problem is on summer, because it's a lot of people is doing fishing and hunting and canoe trips. They're always running the bud car, but check always call Sudbury train station requiring the bud car. The train takes some extra time when it's on summer. It's really busy. Instead of stopping, like making 3 or 4 stops, he stops all the way around. Like every 5 or 10K, the train is stopping, it's delayed because people is leaving to campgrounds or hunting camps. It's really interesting to see the community with the train. Let me see. Okay, in general, this is the Cartier train station, you can see the line, the train line, you can see the boats, and you leave the cars parked right beside the train. And around 9:50, you see the train arriving and you start putting all the boats inside. It's really, you can take a lot of boats inside. I would say around 10 or 12 boats plus all the gear. It was really interesting. And the guys were really helpful. Every boat, the cost is around $50 by boat, around $50 by person, $15 by person, and you need to bring cash. They don't accept credit cards.
Yeah, one thing I would caution people, if there's more than one group, make sure you're very organized in your packing, and kind of look and make sure everything is in a area, because another group could easily take the wrong pack. So you almost want to, put tape or something that's common. So everything with orange tape is, your group or something, like flagging tape or something. Because when you get 2 or 3 groups, not only that, you got the hunt camps with stuff, and somebody picks the wrong bag, you're going to be screwed.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, we need to be very careful.
Cautious. Yeah.
Yeah.
So generally what we do is we put the boat in and fill the boat with our gear.
Yeah.
And it's, it's less likely somebody's going to mistakenly take your bag.
Yes. Okay, water flow on the Spanish River. The water, it's really good on May and June. It's a lot of white water and high volume water. And on summer, July and August, the levels drop a lot. It means you need to be a really good skilled paddler on being on the spring in May and June, because the volume is really big. But the problem is on low volume on summer, we start seeing a lot of rocks and boulders on the river, and you need to paddle pretty good class 2, class 3 as well. Most everything there is portage everywhere. You see right away all the signage for the portage. Everything it's very clear on the Spanish River. Plus, it's a park. Oh, I think there is a shot. Okay, Shuttle Duke Lake and brought. Okay, that's a good one as well. Sorry.
Okay.
Well, if you guys want to do the West Branch, the total the West Branch will be 165 kilometers from Bisco Tasting, there's a general store to Agnew Lake Lodge. That will take more or less around 7 days with the Royal X boat. We feel for, if you guys want to do a little bit more whitewater, June will be the best time. And if you want to go more with the family and more relaxed, maybe July, end of July and August will be the safe time to go. There is one question, probably not OC1 boat. Yeah, probably not. Probably not. And as well, Kevlar boats, I think is not the best as well. It's a lot of rocks on summer. And or you are a really good pilot and you want to do a lot of portage, it'll be okay. But in general, for the Spanish, we prefer to take Royal X boat, the prospectors. Normally in, well, August, June, July, it's like Southern Ontario weather. Sometimes it's really hot. It's not like back up north. We went in July. I can't remember. We almost without any flies, any bugs. It was pretty clear. Maybe June is really bad.
Sandro, just a quick comment.
Yep.
On water levels. Having done it so many times, we've hit just about every single water level I think there is. but we've only done it from the forks down, and we've never found it really unpassable. It's down at the bottom. You really have to kind of scout your route and kind of figure out how to best. And, you know, one of the rules we have is that if you can just push yourself, you know, you ground, if you can push yourself off in one, that's fine. But if you push yourself twice, no, get out. I mean, the water's warm. You step out, you float it a little ways and jump back in. I have heard, and maybe some of the folks that have done the west side, the west branch farther up, in really low water, that can be a kind of a wet walk, but just because of the boulders. But from the forks down, it's really passable just about any time.
Yeah, forks down. Yeah, the problem is above, because everything's dam control on the west branch. That's the problem.
If you do decide to come down the west branch and you find that there's insufficient water, there is a connecting river called the Snake River farther up that can take you across to one of the numbered lakes on the Duke Lake side. It's a good way of getting out if you're fed up with dragging a boat down the west branch.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's a good snake one. Yeah. Most of the campsites, they are visible. As I said, it's Spanish Rivers, and it's an operated park. Everything is clean and well maintained. All the portage, all the campsites, we didn't have any problems, and they are all very visible. Because you already find, for example, on the Bonaventure, because the flow of the river is so fast, and on most of the campsites, it's above the grounds, like in the platform around 6 foot above the river, and it was really hard and visible to find. On the Spanish River, most everything is really hard. It's really easy to find all the campsites. I think John, right? Correct.
The other important thing is they all have thunder boxes.
Exactly. Yeah. And in general, they are pretty big. You can like 4 or 5 times on most of the campsites. Okay, most of the resources we can find online or by. There's the Chris Smart Adventure maps. For sure, anyone who's going to the Spanish River had to have this map. Kevin Cullen as well. They have a book, have some good reference from the West and East branch as well. We have an extensive Wilderness Canoe Association. We have an extensive library. If you guys request a map, we have a person in charge of our library. It's Gary James. And we have from the Spanish River like 10 maps and books and guides. Now I'm going to show a little bit on the maps how works the Spanish River. Can you guys see my screen with the Google Earth?
Not yet.
Okay, let
I
me
see your presentation.
Okay, I'll share again. Okay, yeah. Okay, now you guys
I
going
kind
to
of see, looks like a desktop.
And now?
Oh yeah, now we got Google.
Now we got it.
Okay. Let me. Okay. Okay. Now we have. Okay, we have Sudbury. It's Ontario. We have GTA and Sudbury.
There's Whitby.
Yeah, and then it's Sudbury. And then we have the Spanish River. Okay. Okay, as you can see, there's a pink purple color. This is the west branch, the road. And then on the right side, we have an orange color we call the east branch from Duke Lake. As you can see, the Duke Lake, you have really a good access from the road. You just park the car and you can start paddling south. And then you start paddling south and you're going to meet the forks.
So the branch is a lot of lakes, basically, you're saying.
Yes, a lot of lakes. I can show a little bit the profile. There's this one.
So the rapids are just between the lakes, I guess?
Yes.
Okay.
That is the profile. As you can see, it's really flat. There's almost zero elevation. Yeah, it's like zero angle slope. It's almost 0.1%. That's why it takes so much time. It's still a river, but it's in general, everything is flat. Let me just. Sorry, let me close this. And then you have biscuit sizing. You start, there's a general store. You can access to this village by car. It's a little bit rough, the road, but you can access by car. And then you start paddling. And there's a really interesting shape. And then you cross the Grey Old Bay. And then there's another dam in this area, and they'll control the volume, the water volume.
Sandro,
Yes,
to put in, you can also take the train there, right?
yes. There's a train. Yeah, there's a. You can see right away that this is a train crossing this area.
Right, right.
And then you start paddling, and then you're going to meet. That's the logging bridge. So you can see on the map, logging bridge, you know, is this section. And then you're going to meet at the end with Forks. You can take as well the train, leave Sudbury as well, and you can leave on Sinker Creek. A lot of people instead of going on up north, just give me a second, and Biscotazing, they prefer to leave on Sinker Creek, the train stop here, and they don't do any flat water section. You just need to remind from the Sinker Creek to the Forks, it's 19 kilometers. You can paddle in one day, but the problem is when the train leaves at 9:50, it's going to arrive on this area around lunchtime, around 12. It could be really, or it could be a long day paddling, or it could be 2 days paddling. It really depends of you guys and how many stops the train do on the way. And then we have the Forks. Sorry, another note. When you take the train from Cartier or Sudbury, when you take the train, he stop as well on Forks, Sinker Creek, and Biscotazing Village. When you stop at the Forks, the river is right beside. You live on this area, and there's a plate, and you are right away in the river. This section from the top, from the Forks to the elbow. Give a moment. To the elbow, it takes 3 days paddling. We are talking, when you say 3 days paddling, we talk people normally paddle a lot. Well, they have some good experience, like 4 or 5 years, and they do a lot of whitewater and canoe lake as well. And they can paddle more or less 25 kilometers a day. And you finish your trip on the elbow. When Fox Lodge Outfitter, it's right beside, they pick up your boats and you guys, it's like 5 minutes driving, and then they take you to Cartier train station. From the elbow to Cartier train station is like half an hour driving.
Okay. One caution, can you zoom into the Elbow and Fox
Yes.
Outfitters? When we were at Elbow, there is no cell coverage. We used our InReach to send a message to Fox, and even though it's a 5-minute car drive, it's probably a, I don't know, 30, 40-minute walk by that kind of gray road. It's a good walk. So either you have to contact Fox Outfitters or you walk the road. I wouldn't personally leave a car at the Elbow because it's just nothing there. So we showed up, we sent a message, and about an hour later they came to get us. I don't know if anybody else has any experiences, but it's not a long walk, but
yeah, it's 2.3 kilometers.
Yeah, so it's a half an hour or something.
Yeah,
Something like that, 40 minutes.
the deal was he was meeting with us like 4 p.m. But when we arrived on the Forks was like lunchtime, was 12.
Yeah.
And well, luckily Gary have an in reach and he text and was okay and he showed up a little bit earlier.
Yeah, so that's the only little thing. You have to coordinate that or take a walk down that country road. You got two options there.
Yeah, I think we have a shot.
Check the map and just start walking.
Yes, Fox
Generally.
Lakes. Yeah, Fox
Or
Lakes.
you could park your car at Fox. That's another option. There's just like a campground there.
Yeah. Or if you don't like your car, you really can drop your car on the elbow.
Well, yeah,
The-
but it's,
yeah,
you
the
know, you're
roads
not
are a
going
little bit-
nowhere. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't personally do that.
Yeah.
Either stay at the train station and get shuttled back to train, or put up a box.
Okay.
It's a campground, so it's going to be secure.
Someone was asking if Fox Lakes was accessible off the highway. Yes, it is. When we jump from Sudbury, there is this Windy Lake Provincial Park where you can sleep camping, or there's a motel, or you can drive right away to Fox Lake Lodge. The roads are okay. Well, it is a little bit rough sometimes, but we went there without any problem.
Yeah, there's no issue on those.
Yeah, there is no issue.
The country road.
Exactly.
You can drive a regular car.
Yeah. We figure out the best. You can leave as well from Sudbury, but in the morning it's easier if you sleep on the campground or in the motel and you drive right away in the morning to Cartier train station. You take the train and then you leave at or you can leave at the Forks. You can leave at the Sinker Creek, or you can wait for the last Biscotazing General Village. It really depends. But remember, if you live on the last west branch, this will take 7 days to go to Agnew Lodge.
Sandro, one quick thing. At
Yes.
one time you mentioned about people, and I know lots of people do, they get off at the Forks and they come out either probably at the elbow that night, right? And it's a lot of paddling, but you're not, it's, if you're set to paddle and you don't have any luggage or anything. The problem is, and we've seen it, I remember one year we didn't get into the Forks because of the via train station schedule. We didn't get into the Forks until 4 o'clock, leaving at about 9:30 in the morning. So if you don't get into the Forks until 4 o'clock and you want to get out at the elbow that night and you haven't brought a tent or sleeping bags or anything else, you got a problem. So just be careful of putting yourself in that position.
Okay, that's great. Alan was asking if did you rent canoes? Yeah, the outfit is the Fox Lodge, they rent boats. And Agnew Lake Lodge, I don't know, but the Fox Lake outfitters, they rent boats, they have boats.
Yeah, plastic boats.
Yeah.
Royal X. Whatever.
If you guys want to paddle to straight these 2 days with the graveyard section to Agnew Lake or Agnew Lake Lodge, which is the outfitters, this section will take 2 days more or less because it's 50 kilometers. And if you are driving from South Ontario, you can sleep with the Agnew Lake Lodge on the next day. They drive you to Sudbury train station, and then you take the train to the Spanish River, and then you finish your trip on the Agnew Lake Lodge, and where your cars are parked. Where else I can say? This section, the purple pink color, it's a little bit, everything is flat water, and only after the dam on this small narrow section start going for white water. But the biggest section for the white water is from the Forks to the elbow. And unfortunately, a lot of people live on the elbow, but there's very cool rapids on the graveyard, but it's only a small section. Almost most people, they don't want to do all the rest. Let me see if there is anywhere else I can say. I think, let me see the profile for this one as well, for the beginning. Okay, as you can see on my screen, when you start Boscotizing village, everything is flat. And then when you start getting to the dam, you see right away, but all this lake is going to take some extra time doing. That's why most in general, a lot of people just take the train and stop and leave at the Sinker Creek, avoid all the flat water section. And this will take more or less 1 day, well, but we need to be careful what time the train gets to the forks. Sorry, to the Sinker Creek or to the forks. And please remind, from forks to Elbow, this is more or less 3 days, and then Elbow to Agnew Lake, this will take more or less 2 days. Let me see if I can show you the other profile. Okay. As you can see, when you leave the creek, and then we have a small flat, that's the problem with the Spanish River. There's a lot of flat sections compared like Noir or Coulanges or Des Moines. We have more continuous river and flow. On the Spanish, a little bit the opposite. There's a lot of flat water sections. Let me see if there's one shot. Like a Sudbury Aviation, if you have is handy for boats. Yeah, if you want to take a fly, yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that's it for the Spanish River. Let me know if you guys have any questions. Open for questions.
One thing we could say is there are videos online of the trip that you did, Sandro. It's under my YouTube name right now, and it's 2018 06. Well,
Can you type on the
yeah, I'm
chat?
gonna I'll put the link there. That's the best way. You're right.
Yeah.
And that way, basically, I filmed every rapid, and
Yeah.
all quite safe. But when you go through those videos, it will give you a really good idea. And the people in the crowd, you could see,
Yeah.
You know, we're not super professional. We're
Yeah.
just average people doing it. And it was quite a safe, you know, outing.
I can see the Spanish River, it's a safe river to do, even with family. For example, Coulanges or Des Moines or Noir, they are a little bit more technical than the Spanish. And most everything you can portage as well. If you are used to paddle class 2, you are okay to do the Spanish River.
Yeah.
Let me know if you guys have any questions. Okay, need permits, yes.
Yeah, just a comment.
Yes.
We have found it a very, very good river for being an introductory whitewater river. Because we go up there, as I mentioned, with the scouts, we just take our oldest boys and they're 14, 15 years old. So some of them are probably your size, right? I mean, some of them can be pretty big. And one of the things going up in that remote aspect, one thing we really like as leaders is we do the same river every year. So we know where the hazardous water is, where the issues. And we also know where the exit points are, because there's several spots in there, like at the forks, where there's a road out. The boys don't see that, right? They think they're in the wilderness and in absolute wilderness and nobody around. But if somebody's broken an ankle or somebody is having an appendicitis issue or something, we know that there's several spots, and by the maps, we know that there's several other like bush roads that we can always get out on. Yeah. The other thing that we have to be very careful with 14 and 15-year-old boys doing this is they come out of this with a whole bunch of testosterone and they figure they can do anything. And one of the things we like is that the Spanish has enough serious rapids like the ledge at Graveyard there, and the main Graveyard rapids, where you really don't want to run those. And especially with the ledge, I think there's not necessarily every year, but lots of times people die on that. because they don't understand it. They paddle up to it, then they realize it's a ledge, there's no noise or anything. They go and go, oh, we got to get out of here. They turn sideways, go over, and then you're in the washing machine. So it is a river where you have to be careful, but if you have any modicum of caution, it's a wonderful river and it's easy to do. There's good signage, good maps. Just do some homework before you go.
Yeah.
We really like it. Very predictable. You can
It's
paddle
very,
it.
yeah, it's very, as well, it's very wide river. I was thinking it was a little bit more narrow, like the Clonge or Des Moines. It's really wide. Yeah, it's an interesting river.
That's one thing when we did it. So we did it the end of June, early July. The river's wide, so you got multiple routes. If you don't like this, go over here. If you don't like that, go over there. So you have. It's not like one option. If you miss it, you're screwed. You've got a lot of options. Left, center.
Yeah, you can play. Yeah.
Every which way. One thing I was going to mention about safety, because the train from the Forks all the way to the Elbow is more or less against the river, in and out and out. Even if you weren't near a road, you just get back up to the train line, and there's a train coming in X hours. Like if you had
and there's
or something
Every other day.
Yeah, and there's a lot of fish camps and hunting camps as well on the way.
Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of people along the river. I was surprised with the train, see so many people in stopping, and the train was stopping so many times.
Yeah, you can flag the train down. That's unusual. It's not a main line, so if there's an emergency, you can flag them down.
Yeah.
Or put your broken canoe across the tracks. That does it too.
And plus the highway, even the highway, it's very close. From the logging bridge, you are connecting right away to the highway 144 in 45 minutes.
I'm going to put in two quick plugs here. One for, it really goes for just about any river when you're doing shuttle work. One thing you can always consider, and I notice there's a couple of other people that have said they're involved with Scouts as well, but is venture groups. Venture groups will shuttle your vehicles for a lot less than taxi companies, and they can use the money. And venturers are allowed to drive vehicles when there's nobody in them, as long as they've got a license, of course. So it's a nice little way to help out some of those groups. One other thing, there is a book or a member of the Wilderness Canoe is Andy Thompson. I don't know if anybody's met him. He's at every Wilderness Canoe symposium because I always see him there, and I've also seen him up on the river on the train. But he's written a book called Pogamassing, and it's a wonderful, wonderful book. It's hardcover. I think it's soft cover as well. And of the Pogamassing Lake, which then comes out and from Pogamassing, which is just below the Forks, down to Sheehan. And there used to be a huge lumber mill. It was a whole little town there and everything. It's a wonderful history of the area. But plug for that. It's a good book.
We have a question from the audience here. We got a few questions.
Yeah.
I just lost one. Okay. Sorry. Let me catch. Oh, Eric's got a question. See a lot of other canoeists. So it's a question. Are there a lot of other canoeists on the river between May and June? I remember when we did it, I don't think we really saw other groups, every so or hunt camp, fish camp, but that's
we didn't see. I think the paddles are going May and June, like it's more for high, they are looking for high volume, maybe it's less people.
Yeah, it'll be less people.
But
JL had a question, contact information for venture groups. So John, if you were talking, maybe you could just type stuff in on the side on the chat.
Yeah, the easiest way to do that is to ghost the website of Scouts Canada and pretend you want to join a venture group. And then that will tell you which venture groups are in the area or whatever. I mean, if you're going to Quebec or Manitoba or whatever. Right?
Oh, it means, sorry, the venture group, they are Scouts, right? And then you contact your locals. Yeah. Okay, interesting.
So just go to the Scouts Canada website, pretend you want to join a group, and that'll give you the phone numbers and contact and everything else.
Okay. David had a comment. Last year, one of the outfitters wanted $800 to shuttle us, so we found some friends to do it. Do you
Yeah,
remember
but
the cost, Sandro?
yeah, we pay 400.
400?
We pay,
Okay.
yeah, we pay half the price.
Okay, with
And
Fox.
based on 8 people to Cartier train station. Well, they just need to pick up us and
Yeah,
drop
so
on
they
the-
pick us up at the Forks, bring us to Fox, and then
No, they
shuttle
pick us at the elbow and
at
take
the
us
elbow,
to
sorry, the elbow, and bring us to Cartier, which is only
Yeah.
15, 20 minutes away or something.
If they sell service at the Sinker Creek, honestly, I don't know. I remember there was no cell phone on the elbow. I presume must be the same situation.
Yeah,
You need an inReach or satellite
yeah,
device. Well, in
or you
general,
hike down the road.
yeah. We normally bring always inReach or satellite device with us.
We go to Sudbury, get the train to the Forks, but we have the venture group pick up our vehicles and take them from Sudbury over to Agnew Lake Lodge. They charge us $200.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good good price.
Okay, Matt has a question. Is there any loop route back through the lakes?
Yes, there's a loop. It's on the Kevin Carlin book. Everything is there. It's from Biscotazing. I think the starting point is Biscotazing General Store and make the loop to the dam. I think there's then it cuts again west side, but I know there's a loop on Kevin Carlin book.
But I think
If you
Matt's
buy-
talking about looping all the way back up again.
No, oh maybe I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, there's
It's
a lot of
lakes and
water, but yeah, there's a lot of water.
Yeah, must be somewhere.
Yeah, you'd have to
Yeah,
plan that out through
not,
Ramsey and
just
Indian.
not in the right place.
I just want to go one direction.
Yeah,
South.
yeah. I mean, there's enough water. If you Google it, you could probably figure out a route. You know.
Yeah, there's a lot of water everywhere in this area.
Yeah.
And it was interesting in, when we on this area, there's on this region on the elbow, the outfit was saying one time they are taking aerial pictures, and on the elbow area, the trees are much taller than around, and they figure out there's a mineral on this area, and the trees were growing much faster and taller. And then and after like 2 or 3 years, a Mexican company, they bought all this land around the elbow just to extract all the mineral and ship to Mexico.
Okay, we have another question. It was a question about cell coverage at Sinker Creek, and I would say it would be probably poor.
Yeah, because we don't have at the elbow.
Ken has a question. Can you also continue on and get through Killarney Pass, Narn?
I don't know that area.
Yeah, I don't know that either.
Yeah, I think in general people just start Boiscotan Village and finish at Elbow, or they keep going to Agnew Lake Lodge. What's happening below, or I don't know.
Okay.
How is the fishing? We didn't try the fishing. Problems with bears? Yeah, well, we have a big group, but we didn't see anything.
Yeah.
No, and the campsites are pretty clean,
Yeah,
which
pretty
is the
clean.
best way to battle bears.
Yeah, and very open as well. I have a Spanish, I hacked the Spanish for you, and I was wondering if there was just here or in regards to.
I had, we have a
Can
friend,
you recommend her?
Isadora hiked the lower Spanish one late summer.
Well, a river to build skills for the Spanish. I'll say go to Madagascar, maybe take a course, or like they are really good, and even Madagascar River to play, or come for a week to our outings. Bill Ness, it's our whitewater master, and Bill start running these outings from March to June, and you guys learn a lot of skills.
Yeah, the problem is this year with COVID, that's probably gonna be on.
Yeah. Yeah, if you are alone, yeah, maybe if you have another group, Black River, it's a good starting point. But I leave that call to Billy. Bill, do you want to give a good advice?
On what?
And can you recommend the river to build skills for the Spanish? That's the question.
Oh, to build skills for the Spanish?
Yes.
Any of the novice to intermediate rivers that we paddle in the spring would be good. I like the Moira because it's a wide river with structure somewhat similar to a lot of the Spanish sections.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a good
Moira,
one.
yeah, Moira River, it's very similar to Spanish because it's really wide river. Yeah.
Yeah.
Madawaska as well, but Madawaska, it's the volume sometimes is really high volume. I think Moira, it's a safer river than Madawaska.
Yeah, hopefully we'll get back
Yeah,
doing things
hopefully.
this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. But by the way, the Spanish River is used to generate power by Inco and E.B. Eddy. If Inco is shutting down because there's lack of demand for their products, they may turn the river off, and you'll find it extremely low on the West Branch. So when I used to do it, we would check with the MNR in Sudbury and see if anyone there could tell us what Inco's plans were.
Yeah.
Once we got stuck, and it really was a hiking trip, and that was the trip on which we discovered this Snake River to enable us to get to.
Can you,
bypass
Sandro, zoom in on your map, and maybe Bill can talk us through where this shortcut is? So I guess it's up north above the Forks.
It's above the Forks.
On the West Branch?
Yeah, it'll take you from the West Branch over to the east.
Okay, let me see if I can find the snake.
Well, it's going to be east of your line.
The thing is, Paul here, by the way, sorry to interrupt. It's just south.
Hi. Okay, let me see.
Is it above Sinker Creek, Bill?
I can't recall.
Okay, it must be. Yeah.
No, it's south of Sinker Creek.
Is it south?
Okay,
of it?
South Sinker
Yeah.
Creek.
Keep going. I think it lets you across to maybe like Seventh Lake or something like that.
Just up above Sinker Creek, you can see Snake
Okay.
River takes off to the
Above
right.
Sinker Creek.
Yeah. Okay. So
Snake River.
I mean,
Okay,
there's
there's a
7 lakes on the East Branch, so if it only bypasses
Okay,
one lake,
this
it's
is
not a,
okay.
yeah,
No,
it's not a-
I thought it was about like 11 or 12 lakes, but
But you are saying,
in a while.
Bill, you are saying
Oh,
you
there we
crossed-
are. There's
yeah.
the snake. Good. Okay, so that's taken me down to First Lake.
First lake. Okay.
Yeah.
Second lake's up there. Okay.
It means
So
you
it's
came.
not
you came-
it's not a big shortcut, but
It means
Well,
you are coming from the West Branch, and then you make the Snake River to the East Branch, and then you
Yeah.
go south. Okay, that's a good call as well.
yeah,
It's pretty wide. Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. And then how far down does it go? Like,
Well, it's going to the Forks,
not
right?
far from the Forks, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's taking you into First
Yeah.
Lake.
It takes you basically almost to the Forks.
Yeah. The Snake goes
There's
20.
some rapids there. Yeah. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that's
Another question. Steph had a question about Madawaska
no.
exclamation point.
No, Madawaska was a starting point. Well, to if you want to do the Spanish to build skills.
Oh, I
And
see.
Steph was saying Madawaska. Yeah, it's a really good river. I really like Madawaska River.
Yeah, but I would think if you're under,
Yeah.
to me, it's all like the little rivers, like I don't know, Black
Moira, Black, even the
Salmon,
Credit
maybe.
River.
Your credit, yeah,
Credit.
the lower credit. Those are the
Yeah, the lower
rivers I would
credit's a
say.
good one.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah, if you're in southwestern Ontario, the Saugeen isn't a bad one for
yeah,
messing
Exactly.
around.
yeah.
If you've got water, it's famous for going dry.
Yeah, it's only good for a couple weeks. Like
Yeah,
most rivers.
But if you get a good 2 days of rain,
Yeah.
it's an eavesdrop.
Well, we had on the lower, what was it? The lower credit. It was in flood. Was it last year or the year before? No, it must have been two. It was
2 years
amazing.
ago. 2 years
It
ago.
was amazing. I mean, it was like that thing was moving for 20 kilometers. I never saw it. So it was fun. We had a couple people wipe out and our boats were just going for 2-3K, chasing them.
Yeah. For me,
But it was all like class 1, 1.5, a little bit of 2.
Yeah.
But it was just moving, so it was fun.
Yeah. For me, the best ones for start spring, it's Moira and Black River.
Yeah.
Is anyone solo paddle East Branch? Well, the last time we went was one person in solo in our group.
Yeah, but the East Branch is a lot of lakes. So the issue there, if you get winds and they're against you, you could be in trouble. Because it's just basically a string of lakes.
It's very wide river. Yeah.
If you want to solo paddle something like this, I'd recommend you pick up a big kayak paddle. You can really motor a canoe along with that rather than trying to steer, especially if it's windy.
Yeah.
This is what I use all the time for my solo trips. In whitewater, I'll just pick up the canoe paddle.
Yeah, I could see Yuri Miller joined the call, and Yuri paddled about 300 kilometers with a kayak paddle on one of our trips, solo.
Yeah, it's the only way to go. I mean, that's what Herb Pohl did. Yeah. All his trips were done with that modified, actually it was this a big C2 that he modified and used a double blade. It's very efficient.
Can I jump in again?
Yes.
It's Paul here. I used to do a end of season solo trip in November from Pagamasing to Agnew Lake. And I enjoyed it tremendously because there is nobody else on the river except maybe a few hunters. But I also had a full dry suit on. November is cold, lots of snow, lots of ice, but very soloable.
Sandro, can we go back to maybe just the social mode so that people can people talking?
Yes, I wanted to ask about people are talking about soloing, and I wanted to know what kind of like outfitting, because I'm typically like in a prospector backwards with like some heavy gear up front. So like, what are you guys paddling solo?
I use the Mad River Guide that I've outfitted with a pedestal seat and straps that makes it good in flat water or white water. I've done the Spanish with some guys in 16-foot fiberglass prospectors that paddled just like you did. So turn around, sit on the rear front seat, and they just motored along with double blades. Worked fine. It's really not a difficult river at all. No.
Paul here again. I have used a Mad River Freedom as you did in the back seat, paddling backwards, and I also have a skiff Vertage that is set up for solo. I use both of them.
Sandro, can you cut the shared screen so we can see people?
Yes. If you question, can you access your present? Yes, just send me email and I'll reply with the PDF.
Sandro, can you close your shared screen?
Yes. Okay. Sorry.
Because then we could see everybody, and people can go into speaker mode or whatever. You'll start talking basically, by clicking the views or whatever. Okay, that's very good. Okay, one of the things we have, we had 50 people or so. We have 47 now. Is anybody want to jump in and introduce themselves that did not introduce themselves originally?
I'll jump. It's Paul here.
Go ahead, Paul.
I'm not a Wilderness Canoe Association member, but I am a member of Canadian Canoe Routes. I've been a member there since it was Ontario Canoe Routes.
Okay, yeah, that's 12 years.
No, that was about 25 years ago.
Okay.
Yeah, I've been a member of a Canadian Canoe Route since 2001.
Okay.
And I live in Sudbury. The Spanish is basically in my backyard. I've done it numerous times, over 60 actually. And I've done it by train, by truck, by car, by plane, put in east-west branch forks all over the place, taken out at the elbow and all the way to Spanish or Agnew Lake. I love the river. It's great.
Yep. Yeah, it's a pretty river. Anybody else want to jump in? I think we've got a few faces I see there. Mary, maybe?
Sure. To go back to what you asked for at the beginning, I'm not a member. I'm here as a guest of Dave Skinner. We went down the Spanish at the end of July last year. I can't remember, were there 8 of us? But there are 5 of the people on this call right now. The water was not terribly low. We had nice flow all the way down, and it was like just following a bunch of swifts. And yes, I would recommend it for a family with kids. You didn't mention the fantastic swimming on Agnew Lake. There's a nice long spit out in the lake, and we just jumped in the water on the last day and got all cleaned up before we got in the shuttle. And the other thing that you didn't mention was the old growth forest. That was amazing. We stopped and walked around and had lunch at one of the spots where you couldn't put your arms around the trees. I've been whitewater paddling since 1975, and I have to say this is one of my favorite rivers.
There's a question from would not recommend. Oh no, there's not a question. Taking a Kevlar boat, I agree.
Yeah, pretty tame. Yeah.
So in terms of ag water, should I be looking for airbags, tight straps? Yes, there's really wide, long rapids. You feel more safety if you have airbags, at least tight straps.
Yeah. It's not an aggressive river. It's like I said, it's class 1, 2. It's wide. You got a lot of options. You don't really, there's not many places you can get in trouble. There's one area that somebody did say they wrecked a boat on.
The Graveyard Rapids.
What was that? Green something it was called? Green Rapids or something? Can't remember anymore.
It was Graveyard Rapids.
It was Graveyard?
Just after the elbow.
No, before the elbow, there's something green, something.
But after the elbow, it's the graveyards.
Yeah,
but you need to go to Agnew Lake, right?
There was a rapid before. It was called.
There's one at Agnes River. If people go down the right-hand side or the left-hand side, I suppose, the Agnes River Rapids, and there's usually some canoe shrapnel at the bottom of those.
Yeah. Okay, I think everything, right?
Yeah, it sounds good.
Well, thank you so much to show up in our workshop. There's a lot of portage there. Well, most of the portage is around, it's really small compared with the other rivers. It's 300, 400 meters, 500. It's really small portage.
Yeah, and I would say almost everything's runnable.
Yeah, everything's runnable almost. There's only a class 5, I think, but it's really small. But everything's runnable.
Except the graveyard.